This is CityCast Chicago. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and here's what Chicago's talking about.
It goes without saying, it's been one of the rainiest summers in recent memory. Anna, where was you when them tornado sirens went off?
Sitting at my desk, and my wife said, if you don't get to the basement, I got the all caps text message, if you don't get up.
Me and Taylor were out at a Tabib Cafe. It's a cafe that's soft opened in the South Loop recently. Very good. People should stop over there. We were sitting in the back, and when the siren went off on the phones, when the alert went off, everybody in there just was sitting still, kind of smiling like, it's no big deal, no big deal. Well, we packed our stuff up and got out of there immediately. Within the next 5 minutes, my mom had called me. Her dad had called her to check in on us. But we did get back before the rain started. But I feel you. That is contributor Anna DeShawn in the building with us. Anna, it's good to see you again. Glad you're safe and sound.
Me too.
Pope, what about you? Where was you when the siren went off? I don't know if you was as lucky as us.
Dog, I was going out trying to be fit, went to the gym, came back. So I'm going to go straight to the barber shop, get a fresh cut for the NABJ convention. And the siren started going off right as I'm walking up. And I was on North Orleans Street, over where Urban Blades is. So if you know North Orleans, over Cabrini Green area, there's a big old siren right there. So I got a earful. I was like, oh, snap, something's happening. But I was hoping, okay, my guy good. He going to get me in right away. We're going to be fine. Yeah, I was drenched. I was drenched.
I've had to ride my bike home in a storm in the last couple of weeks. It was not fun. It was not fun. I mean, speaking of that siren, Simone immediately said she could hear it all the way in Uptown. Anna, you all the way down in like Washington Heights, you could hear it. We could obviously hear it near like the South Loop, all parts of Chicago. But I imagine everybody's reaction to it is a little bit different, but I'm sorry you got caught in it, my friend. That is contributor Brandon Pope in the building with us.
Yeah, I did this for y'all. I had to rush back. I could have, man, y'all lucky I love you.
You could have stood under underpass and let it wait it out, but you didn't. You got all the way home, and we only had to. It only cost us like 10 minutes, man. You were so fast with it. I appreciate you. All right, so today we are not just talking about the rainy summer. We are also talking about Bally's Casino pausing construction, growing transphobia at WNBA games, and what would you do with your last 24 hours in Chicago? But Pope, I got to start with Bally's. Earlier this year, I was hearing from folks and officials over there that they were excited that the hotel and the casino project that's being built on the former Tribune Publishing Complex was expected to open in early 2027. But now we're hearing, not because of the tornado siren or the summer of rain, that they are hitting a pause on construction. What's going on over there?
Yeah, man, it's not the storms at all. It's the palace intrigue politics that Chicago is famous for. This fight is over video gambling terminals, those big slot machine style games you find at the bars, restaurants, other businesses across Illinois, and when you go to New Orleans or Vegas. So for years, Chicago banned them, right? But as part of this year's budget, the city council actually voted to legalize them in an effort to try to get more revenue and help struggling neighborhoods and struggling neighborhood businesses, right? Sounds good in theory. Mayor Brandon Johnson, though, he opposed this. His reason, because he said it goes against the Bally's agreement they had. They say he said it breaches the clause in the community host agreement, which grants the company the city's sole casino license.
So this was something passed in the alternative budget that city council pushed through, not the budget. This was nowhere to be found in the mayor's initial budget proposal.
This was not part of Mayor Brandon Johnson's initial budget proposal. So he is against this right here. So is Bally's. The company says that if hundreds of bars and restaurants can offer video gambling, then that takes away revenue from their casino. If the casino makes less money, then all the economic benefit that's been touted for this Bally's casino, they argue it changes. So the company right now estimates that if the video gambling goes through and anyone can kind of have it, they expect $260 million in annual tax losses. For the city, that could mean $70 million in loss for the city. And you got to remember, the city in that alternative budget, and really all budgets, has been banking on the casino's revenue to help pay for police and fire pension obligations. So that's a really big impact. But also, with slowing down the work right now, there's also an immediate impact on jobs. There's 1,500 union workers who, if they're pausing construction on, and I want to specify this too, the pause is on the kind of amenities of the casino. The gambling part of the casino itself will be, according to Bally, still be good to go. They're pausing hotel, they're pausing restaurants, and all those amenities that they were hoping would bring in and generate additional revenue and bring in people from out of state.
That's what made the River West project attractive for a lot of people to begin with. Because for some, they're like, I'll never go to the casino. But if there's a music venue over there, new restaurants, hotel accommodations for people, if we improve the infrastructure around the river, like those are things that some people were excited for. And so this is in many ways that's their play here, is to say, we're going to keep working on the casino part of things, but the other ways that this would have benefited neighbors and people in the area and Chicagoans, we're not going to put as much attention right now on keeping that moving forward. Yeah.
And so that also raises kind of a big question too of like, okay, we got to get the lawyers involved now, because what is the agreement, right? So Alderman Raymond Lopez, he kind of made some waves recently. He tweeted out and suggested that he basically said F around and find out to Bally's. And it suggested that the whole agreement could be ripped up. And we should add Alderman Raymond Lopez was opposed to the Bally's deal altogether. He was part of a host of aldermen that really did not want this at all. Now, could it actually be completely ripped up? If you look at the agreement, construction would have to be stopped for 120 straight days and not restart at all before Bally's could even receive any sort of what they call a default notice for a pause.
I mean, the entire facade of the hotel is pretty much.
It looks good.
It's pretty much built at this point. I mean, obviously they haven't finished, but I mean, it's already at its height.
It's there. And so we got to pretend it's not like, it's becoming this stalemate here. Obviously, the city wants the revenue. Obviously, Bally's wants it. But, Jacoby, it's no secret either that Bally's is struggling a little bit when it comes to the construction around this. There's been a lot of construction hurdles. They've had to relocate the hotel tower because of infrastructure concerns. They had a demolition spill in the Chicago River that created some problems. So they had to push back some things. They had to terminate a contract vendor, a construction vendor, because of alleged mob ties. So you could make a movie out of this Bally's casino drama.
When we really dig into the details when it comes to video gambling terminals, like Illinois passed the Video Gaming Act back in 2009. These started popping up in 2012, and now we have nearly 50,000. And on the one hand, they obviously threaten revenue. Right now, Illinois' video gambling terminals have generated more net income and about twice as much in taxes as the state's 17 casinos, and that's just through July, according to the Gaming Board data. Then on the other hand, I'm like, but you knew. There was always a possibility that Chicago would get in on this, as the broader state is reaping some financial benefit from them. I am interested to see what the exact language of the contract says, if ultimately Bally's will get to control, because I think right now there are only a couple hundred that are pending to open in the city. We're not talking about thousands immediately flooding into Chicago, and the hope that the amount of revenue they're trying to get isn't in the hundreds of millions that they're hoping to get from Bally's annually. And so do you imagine there's a world in which both are allowed to kind of move forward, where they're allowed to maybe cap the number of VGTs and still move forward with the Bally's project? Or is this an all or nothing for officials and in some cases the mayor, who didn't agree with this original plan?
The big thing here is going to be that key clause is Bally's being the city's sole casino license. Of course, the argument's going to be, all right, yeah, you are the sole casino license. That doesn't mean that nobody else can have video gambling stations. Doesn't mean a bar or restaurant can do that. They're not a casino, right? So that becomes kind of the big sticking point here. That 120-day countdown they're on the clock right now, and from there the city would have some options, right? But like you said, the building's up. I
Like what?
live very close to where Bally's is at, and it looks pretty good from where I'm at. To just stop that altogether. I also forgot to mention. Can we mention this? Bally's is facing an $800 million funding gap when it comes to this project.
Yeah.
Like, they really can't just be like, all right, we can't do it at all. So either way, people are going to be in there gambling, right? The question is going to be, are they going to be able to stay overnight? Can they go watch Nelly when he comes over and does a show? And et cetera, et cetera.
When Ja Rule comes to do the makeup show.
He better. he better. And he better bring Ashanti.
For me, it really does feel like a negotiation tack at most. Pope, you talk about that 120-day timeline that we're on, but do you have any sense that we go hear from the mayor's office soon, hear from Bally's officials? Will there be a sit-down meeting between both sides to figure out if there's a way through this? But also, they've already put the projections in the budget. What can they do now to adjust that?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some meetings here. Expect for Alderman Walter Burnett, especially Red, as he's called, to be a big part of that because this is in his ward. And he's a little upset because he found out about it, the Saturday before all this dropped. A lot of other city council members found out via media reports. And so did some people in the mayor's office. So there's going to be some relationship repair that needs to be done as well in these conversations, but both are going to have to sit down very soon and are expected to in the coming days as they try to work this thing out and try to come to an agreement because as we keep saying, it's here.
Anna, the conservative movement's wave of anti-trans rhetoric legislation has found its way into the WNBA. This is something you witnessed firsthand over the weekend. Can you kind of catch me up how the league finds itself at this point?
The W just has been historically a place of social justice, historically a place that has uplifted the most marginalized among us because the league has also been dominated by Black queer women. Right. Mm-hmm. And so they've always been on the forefront of whatever social justice issue is happening in the world. Well, enter Caitlin Clark, enter the Indiana Fever, enter Indiana politics and their fans. And so ever since this fandom has occurred and the growth of the W, so has the conservative wing of folks who have never been involved in the WNBA before. And so in this moment, what we have is a player on the Indiana Fever who, for all intents and purposes, basketball-wise, we would never talk about, which is Sophie Cunningham, because her stats don't equate to the level of attention in which she receives. But alas, the folks who consider themselves conservative and anti-trans have coined her MAGA Barbie. Okay? She is out here taking pictures with the ultimate drifter, Riley Gaines, and she has come out and said that she does not support trans kids participating in sports. And she said that I said what I said. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that there's a whole group of conservative folks who are also anti-trans, who also just happen to be Indiana Fever fans, who then find themselves showing up in Chicago because the Indiana Fever played the Chicago Sky. I happened to be there at that game. And I forgot how much I don't like going to these games. Until I showed up at the United Center once again, and I'm surrounded by Indiana Fever fans. Last year, I sat next to a person who had a Confederate flag on his hat, and I said, what am I doing here in this
Last
moment?
year was a wave of anti-Blackness, attacks towards former Sky All-Star Angel Reese.
Correct. And then I go in there this year, and rows below me is a masked lesbian with a sign that says Lesbians for Sophie. And she held it up there the entire game. And the anti-trans sentiment was just so thick. And the energy is just so off at those games. And I had a friend actually ended up confronting this person at the game But then also I talked to her, and her trans flag was confiscated by United Center Security. I ended up talking to somebody else, and they reported to me that their trans flag was also confiscated by United Center Security. In full transparency, I haven't reached out to Chicago Sky or the United Center Security to get their take on what happened there. I talked to the people who were impacted. And when I saw the flag that was taken from my friend, it didn't meet any of the requirements of the United Center arena that says we're going to take this, right? And so what's happening right now is truly, I believe, the right having the funding, having the money to be able to pay people to espouse these ideologies and make an issue out of something that truly is not an issue. And when I say that, I mean there are no trans players in the WNBA. In the 30 years of the league, there has been one. In this moment, the NCAA has less than 10 players that identify as trans. Yes, the president of the NCAA has come out and said that. And there are over 500,000 athletes in the NCAA. So when we talk about the amount of money and the investment the right has made trying to make trans kids in sports an issue, when you look at the facts and you look at the numbers, it truly is not an issue. And in this moment, I find that they are using it as a distraction from the things that really do matter, that they really are doing nothing about. And it's really, really unfortunate. And then also last week, you had two former subpar, and I do mean subpar, former NBA players come out and declare that they are going to make themselves eligible for the WNBA. And they are just drifters. Okay, Inez Cantor Freedom ain't played in the NBA in 4 years. Royce White is looking to run for political office. And so he's just looking to make a political stand and make a name for himself, all at the expense of the WNBA. The WNBA National Players Association came out with a statement saying that we embrace justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Those are the values that unite this union and allow it to protect women's sports while creating transformational change. Hate, abuse, and demonization of any person or group of people, including transgender people, only fuel fear, division, and harm. We will continue to have hard conversations, but we will not be used as political pawns. And I think it's the political pawn part here that is so incredibly important. The WNBA commissioner, yes, Kathy Engelberg, came out on last Friday and said that the league will be talking about it this week. Because now they got to have a meeting, because these two drifters then went on the internet and declared themselves eligible for the WNBA. When in fact, the collective bargaining agreement says only players who are women are eligible to play in the WNBA.
They're inventing a problem that is not a problem. That's the biggest thing here. This is a fake controversy. Already, trans women are barred from competing in women's sports in the NCAA and the Olympics. You have 29 states that have banned trans girls' participation in women's sports in K through 12. The Supreme Court has already handed down rulings on this. So the folks who are anti-trans athletes in sports, they've won. Why are they still doing this? And why are they using the WNBA, which has no trans athletes on the court, to make this political point? It's about engagement. It's about hijacking narratives. The WNBA has failed so miserably when it comes to its leadership at standing up for its players on the court and just letting these narratives fester and allowing people to do this because they say nothing. They don't put a backbone behind anything. It's frustrating, and they all deserve better. Olivia Miles is balling right now. Okay, the Golden State Valkyries, what they've done as an expansion team, incredible. I think they're like the 2 seed right now. The Aces, their hunt to try to still be dominant. Will the Mercury get it together? There's like so many great storylines in the W, and none of them are talked about because of all of these vile hijacking things that are going on. I just hate to see it.
As The Intercept reminds us, by screaming to remember straight white women, the right aims to make us forget anyone who sits at the edge of that definition. It dehumanizes Black and brown women even further. It shuts down any future good faith conversations on how to allow trans athletes to compete. And it ultimately silences those within the W and broader who want to support trans athletes, the number of players who've come out to speak up during this time. And to your point, I think, the biggest names, faces, and voices in the W have always stood up for civil rights, for inclusivity, for human dignity. And that moment calls for it once again. And I think the rest of us have to participate in that, not simply as old fans of the W, new fans of the W, but as people who are standing up for trans peoples in general, in and out of sports.
And I think what's important here is to have a long memory, a very long memory. There have been rules in place from the Olympic level to the NCAA level that have allowed trans women and trans men to participate in these sports. Do you know why? Because there is science that underlines the reasoning for those rules. There are numbers that can be looked at from a scientific perspective on when it comes to T, when it comes to estrogen, when it comes to HRT, what's needed. And so I think it is imperative that we not allow these moments to sit in these bubbles, but it is important that we break these bubbles, shut these bubbles down, and look at the fundamentals of what has been happening in sport literally for decades. Because what ends up happening in these moments is that all women lose. When we think about the Black women who participate in track and field, right? And how they were under attack because of the rules around testosterone and their high testosterone levels and people thinking that they're trans when in fact they just have a lot of testosterone and they still meet the qualifications of what it means to be a woman, right? Those women now are under attack because of this anti-trans rhetoric, right? Women don't win with these conversations. Because what they're not talking about is the inequity in pay. What they're not talking about is the inequity in services and brand deals. They're really not talking about the equality or the equity of women in sports. They're not. They could care less about women in sports. They care more about their political campaigns and keeping their jobs. And it's very easy to make political pawns out of people who make up such a small piece of the population. When there's so many people who have never met a trans person, the data tells us this. Check out GLAAD's report, right? It's easy to demonize these people. But at the end of the day, please go to the science. Please have a long history and a long memory about how the rules have been set in place where trans folks can compete and it is fair.
All this attack and all this heat and smoke for the hypothetical trans kids and being predatory in locker rooms, no conversation around the actual coaches who are predatory in locker rooms, the actual male athletes who are predatory in locker rooms, like the doctors and physicians, the long history that is right in front of us.
Larry Nassar.
But we make boogeymen out of young people and out of trans people. The information is available for you if you are willing to be open-minded, to listen to people, to hear people's humanity, to respect people's dignity. And I mean, that's all we can ask for from our platform. Before we get out of here, our friends over at WBEZ, shout out to Patrick and Mary Dixon. They asked this really interesting question. What would you do if you were moving away from Chicago? What would you do with your last 24 hours? And I'm going to be real. I read both of their lists. They was all over the city. They used as much of their day as possible. So I wanted to extend that hypothetical, that thought experiment to the two of y'all as well. Pope, I'm going to start with you. You only had 24 hours in Chicago. The movers have been scheduled. Everything has been packed. Like your day is wide open to you. What's a couple of things you have to do?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I am going to start with getting a breakfast sandwich at Doma Cafe.
Okay.
Over on North Orleans Street. Best bacon, egg, and cheese in the city, in my humble opinion. Shout out to Mario over there. Great owner, good people. Mm-hmm. From there, I know this sounds really basic, but look, a Cubs game is so Chicago. I hate to say it, but it is. When you get you're in the bleachers, You hear the crack of the bat and the trains are going behind you. Like that, so I'd go to a Cubs game in the daytime, preferably, get that nice Chicago experience, get a little lit, go to Nisei Lounge, grab some beers, have a good old time. From there, hit the Art Institute of Chicago. Also sounds basic, but wow, what a collection. It's my last time ever seeing it. And then we're going to take the water taxi to Chinatown. Go to Chinatown, get that beautiful view. I'm going to get some amazing soup dumplings from Hing Ki, best soup dumplings in the city. I'm going to order about 4 orders of them because I got to savor that. Maybe take some with me. All right. Then we're going to go to the South Side, go to Sean Michelle's ice cream for dessert. I got to get me some of that peach cobbler and that old fashioned vanilla.
I love how unreasonable all of our schedules are. We like all over the city. We down
all over the city.
Mary was at Calumet Fisheries. she was at the where else did Mary hit? She was at Calumet Fisheries. She was over in Pilsen at Quesabria. She at one point was at Montrose Harbor. She was at Music Box at Metro. So I love it.
You gotta go
at
everywhere.
The Cubs game. I love how ridiculous all of our last 24 hours would be on our public transit, tanks, bikes, whatever we own. Like, I love it.
And get this, I'm ending it with dinner at Virtue because I got to get that cornbread and that short rib.
Yes.
All right. And then I got to end the night at Pier 31 for a little house music dance party. And then go to Promontory Point, have a little, a little edible or something, and just really just enjoy the views. Yes, indeed. And say, sayonara, Chicago. Love you. It's been real. That'd be my ideal day.
What a packed ass day. Minus the Cubs game. That was largely, I was rocking with most of that. I was rocking with most.
I didn't expect you to agree with that. That's
if it was
fine.
the classic,
cool.
The classic coming up, I'd be over there. I've been to the games. They're good games. They're good games. They're good games. Whatever.
Have you done the bleachers?
I'll be behind like first base, behind like along third base.
Behind
First base. I'd be behind home
I got
plate.
the fancy seats.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
I ain't with all that.
Forgot who I was talking to.
I'm joking. I was out in the bleachers at the Sox game, the last game, and I was in what felt like perfect home run territory. Them boys went oppo all goddamn game. And how you feeling about his list so far?
Everything but the Cubs game, because we're not doing that.
So
but
we just rocking.
everything else sounded great.
What's a couple places that you would have to hit 24 hours left in the city?
Yeah, so my priorities are different because I need to get my hair done and I need to get my hair cut. So these things have to take the priority. And because my hair is so long, this is like a 3-hour tour type of situation.
You wouldn't put that on the day before? You going to make that be on your last 24 hours?
It has to be, because where am I going and who's touching my head? I've had my locks for 16 years. 3 people have been in my head. Okay.
So you said,
what are we doing?
Quick or as close to your last time seeing them as possible. We can't afford to do it a day or 2 days earlier. It's last minute. I feel that. I respect that.
We absolutely cannot play games with this. So this has to be the priority. Also, getting my hair cut has to be a priority. Okay. So we're just going to say that. Now, I got to go to Truth Italian because they have this Cajun crawfish situation over an omelet with some grits, and that is just fire. Okay,
yes.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So I am doing that, absolutely doing that, and then I have to go to Harold's. That is absolutely a must for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm going to get the catfish and I'm getting the wings, hot sauce, ketchup, extra pepper. Okay. So we're going to do that. Absolutely. And if I'm leaving Chicago, I got to go to a game with my dad. So we're just going to say that the Sox game is at night and we're going to Comiskey because I don't know where y'all be going, but we're going to Comiskey. And I had to catch a game with my dad because that would be only right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I dig that. I got to give me a donut from Roseland. Old fashioned, you already know. I got to stop by the Silver Room just to say hi to my peoples. I have to at some point. I need to give me a breakfast sandwich from either Build Coffee or Carver 47. That's both between like Hyde Park or like Kenwood and Woodlawn. So I'm definitely down near the Sox game at some point, or a Sky game, whoever's playing that day. I got to get that final game in somewhere. I'll be real. If it was a day in which the Bears was playing, I'd have to pull up and get the Bears game, get that last bit of headache traffic on Lakeshore Drive out the way. Food wise, like all of this is not practical at all, but La Chaparita over in Little Village, I gotta slide on them. I gotta get a drink either at like a Meadowlark or down at like the Family Den. Like maybe the Family Den, just to end it off right, because it's not too far from Mom's. I can go get a cigar at Mom's house before it's over. It'd be a lot of time on the South Side. I would need to get over to Garfield Park Conservatory, see a flower show before I get up out of here. And so I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, to be honest. Just a whole bunch of different spots. If Expat's still open, I might have to go over there because I know I'm gonna run into about 12 people I know. And that way I ain't got to plan nothing individual for each of them. And so I'd have to whittle down from that list. But I got like a list of like 15 things that I could probably whittle down to a realistic day. But I think between all of us, we got some good spots on there. I need to hear from the listeners, though. 773-780-0246. Where would you go in Chicago? 24 hours, you're using as much of the day as possible. What are some spots you would have to hit? Again, 773-780-0246. Anna, you got something for me?
How could I not go to Brown Sugar Bakery?
How could you not? It happens. It happens.
I gotta hit 75th Street at some point.
Ate way too much in all of our plans, but that's Chicago for you. That's Chicago for you. I want to give a huge thank you to our guest today. It's always one of the best days of my week when I get to have both of y'all on together. Anna, DeShawn, thank you for being in the building with us.
Always good to be here, family.
Brandon Pope, thank you for making time.
It's my least favorite time of the week. No, I'm joking. It's always great to see you guys.
If you are still listening and you want more of CityCast Chicago, then please head over to our website, chicago.citycast.fm. There you can catch up on old podcast episodes, subscribe to our daily newsletter. If you really love the work that we're doing, then please sign up to become a CityCast Chicago neighbor. $10 a month, $100 for the entire year. You're going to get ad-free listening, invites to neighbors only events, and this week and maybe next, you could also get some exclusive CityCast Chicago merch. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. You know I can't end an episode without some good news. Shout out to the 25th anniversary of the Glenwood Avenue Arts Festival. Is going down Friday through Sunday up in Rogers Park. I'm gonna drop a link for you in the show notes. If you're looking for more things to do this week or weekend, then please check out our events calendar. The entire team contributes to it week in and week out. So you're gonna find things all over the city, all ages. So please give it a look. It's at chicago.citycast.fm. I'm gonna be back bright and early tomorrow. I'll talk to you then. Peace.